Dear students, let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 19th January 2017. The first article is related to Brexit. The terms of disengagement, the hard road to Brexit, we are going to discuss over here. We will try to analyze this from the perspective of the Theresa May speech happened this week. The first is, in a referendum conducted in UK, the people have voted to move out of the European Union. And then Theresa May has become the Prime Minister and she has the responsibility to implement the outcomes of the referendum. Originally, Ms. Theresa May belongs to the Remain campaign, but once after becoming the Prime Minister, she has to take forward the will of the people. In this context, she gave clarity to the world what the Brexit mean to her. There are many issues concerned over here. What is the process of Brexit? What is meant by soft or hard Brexit mean? And how European Union and UK gets affected because of this? The major problem over here is the Britain wants to exit the European Union on its own terms and conditions. It means though it do not continue with the European Union, it wants to take the advantage of the common market existing over there. At the same time, it also wants to conduct the trade with the other countries, such as India, Australia, New Zealand, which Ms. Theresa May has already visited. And second thing is, as of now we see more than 50% of UK's trade is with the European Union. So once the Brexit happens, the trade is going to get affected. And in this, Theresa May has given a clear warning to the European Union that she may go ahead with independent economic policy with lower tax regime, that is, a tax incentivization, to retain and attract the new investments to the country. So it means that she is going to go against the European Union norms of the taxation to attract for the new investments from the developing countries such as India. Now, one way it wants to continue the interaction with European Union, the major reason being, till date for most of the countries, UK is the gateway for the Europe. Most companies have their headquarters in UK now. And the second issue for the Theresa May is this. When the referendum was conducted, Scots have voted in favor of remaining in the European Union. Now they are talking about Scottish independence and conducting a referendum on the same. So they can continue with the common market, that is the European Union. So what are the reasons? How it will be solved? Now if you see, the Theresa May, Prime Minister Theresa May, she clearly wants to indicate that she can look for the trade outside the European Union, which appears very fragile as of now. If she wants to bring in the free trade agreements outside the European Union, she also has to give in something. Let's take in India, we are asking for liberalization of the visa regime, which goes against her immigration policy. So, it is going to be a tight quagmire between European Union and UK. The entire process is going to create a huge bad blood between the countries. And if you see the continent itself, the right wing is growing in the Europe now. And immigration, especially from the Middle East, has become a big issue in the European Union. Resurging Russia is another challenge for the Europe. The Trump presidency and the Trump's view of NATO, these are going to make a new challenges. And more than symbolic, it is a political article and we are not going to touch this. And then, the second coming of Barack Obama. If you have watched the farewell speech of President Barack Obama, he clearly stated that he will be more functioning as like the citizen rather than functioning as an elite. It means that he is going to protect his presidency or protect his legacy as a president even in the Trump's era. It simply means that. So the Trump is trying to undo the many of the decisions taken up by the President Obama. These include Iran nuclear deal, Paris Climate Change Pact, and then UN, United Nations. Mr. Trump has very little meaning or sense for the United Nations. According to him, it's a talking club. And with regard to Paris climate change, he don't believe in the climate change and he calls it as a hoax. And Iran nuclear deal, the Secretary of State John Kerry has said, Iran nuclear deal, before the deal, Iran was 90 days close to a nuclear bomb. After the deal, it was 1 year distant from a nuclear bomb. And along with this, the transparency norms which are being initiated will make the countries know if Iran resort to any of the nuclear enrichment. So these are all the achievements of President Obama. And if Mr. Trump tries to reverse them, he can rise as a statesman gathering the public opinion in support of these decisions. That's what the author talks about. But the most beautiful article today is focusing on the marginal farmer. Coming to this article, the suicides are increasing in Maharashtra, Punjab, which were the green belts before, especially if you take the Punjab. It is the center for the green revolution in India. Then why these farmers' suicides are increasing? The major reason is the debt. So we always expect that the debt means debt from the informal sources, that is money lender is the reason. If we carefully observe, most of the people who have committed suicide, these have got the debt from the formal banking system. It means that the reduction of this debt, making the agriculture remunerative, is the necessity and is the need of the hour. In this case, integrated pest management. Now, if you see, in the case of Southeast Asia, they have, instead of using the chemical pesticides, they have left it to the nature, and then so not spraying of the chemicals for the 40 days has provided for the other factors to set in. And finally, the pest eating moth eating birds, they have killed the pests, and then it has become economically and also environmentally sustainable. Similar integrated pest management can be brought up in India. And second thing is formal financial sources can be improved. But however, early warning systems need to be introduced. It means any debt, if it is going out of control, then it has to be immediately informed to the farmer, and debt restructuring etc. need to be followed. And the next is subsidies. The streamlining of the subsidies, early availability of the subsidies, all this will improve the health of the agriculture in the country. These are being suggested by Mr. Varun Gandhi under this article. Now coming to the news page, you know that the Raisana Dialogue 2 is going on. In this, US Admiral cautions India on Chinese influence. One is China's submarines are spotted everywhere across the Indian Ocean. They are spotted in the Karachi port and Colombo port, and this was become a heartburn for India with its neighbors. So in this context, the South China Sea and China's claims on the South China Sea is providing for it to enter into the Indian Ocean. And United States of America is stressing on three foundational agreements on which we signed the Logistics Exchange Memorandum of Agreement. The others, BICA and SISMOVA, Information Sharing Agreement. These have to be signed as soon as possible. That's what the Admiral talks about. India, Sri Lanka in talks on port. So Trincomalee port in Sri Lanka will be offered to India for development. Now, the minister has clearly stated, Sri Lankan Minister Foenska has clearly stated that handling of Hambantota port has led to a huge debt burden on Sri Lanka. So they don't want to repeat the same, and they are ready to address the India's concerns on presence of the Chinese naval vessels in Sri Lanka. Next is Jallikattu issue. Once this issue gets finished, we will discuss some. Because with regard to Jallikattu issue, there is a fight between executive and also between judiciary. And what is the judicial pronouncements? Already we have discussed this in the previous videos. Once this issue gets completed, we will discuss that in detail. And Telangana state proposes for 12% quota for the minorities. With regard to the reservations on the basis of religion, the matter is pending before the Supreme Court, the constitutional bench of the Supreme Court. And the previous government in Andhra Pradesh, United Andhra Pradesh, it has provided for the reservations to the Muslims. Then it was struck down or declared as null and void by the High Court. Then the matter was challenged in the Supreme Court and it is before the constitutional bench. Then, what is the argument of the government over here? The reservations are being provided not on the basis of the religion, but basis of social, educational, and economic backwardness. And in the process, religion is incidental. Now, if you take Article 16, the reservations are also there shall be no discrimination only on the grounds. The word only means the discrimination can exist if there is a other valid reason. So, Article 16 subclause 4 also provides for social and educational backwardness can be a reason to provide for the reservations. So, in this context, the government argued that the reservation is not based on religion, but it is based on social, educational, and economic backwardness. That is what is the argument of the Chief Minister Chandrasekhar. And then, I have given you the questions and also notes. Please go through that, listen to the video, read the notes, try to answer these questions in your own sentences so that you learn the art of building the sentences in simplest language possible. So, at the end of the text, there is a question given. Today, I gave you the question on improving the agriculture in India. Try to answer this question. So, these notes will be posted to you at laix.in/civilsprep. Thank you very much. All the best.